I think your role as an advisor is one of the most important roles in the world. I think it's so important because people today, why are we in trouble? Why are we people under so much stress? Well, the answer is pretty plain if you really think about it. It's that people weren't listening, people weren't planning, people weren't reacting properly, so now people are suffering. And I think the advisor role is so critical. They have to keep honing their skills, and they have to keep understanding that these changes that are going on, these challenges that they're dealing with, they're real. We're talking about real people, people who have looked at their investments go down 30% in the last couple of years, people that were planning to retire and now can't, people that are getting sick because of the stresses that exist. So one of the things I want to try to help with is to give them some more insight to what the answer is. And the answer is connecting with people. The answer is understanding people at a different level. And the reason for that is it's really has to do with how our brain is constructed. People, generally speaking, have different communication styles, different decision styles. Now, when an advisor goes in to talk to somebody with good intentions, oftentimes the clients don't see that. What they do is they read their behaviors. And as a result of reading their behaviors, they either say, I'm going to accept that information or I'm going to reject it. And this has to do with a mechanism of our brain called the reticular activating system. The RAS, which was designed by, you might say, a master designer, was put in place since the dawn of mankind to protect us. And that's what it's for. It also triggers the flight or fight response. So if people are under stress, they automatically shut down. They don't hear what you say. About 10 years ago, I participated in a study of sales and sales effectiveness with the late Bill Brooks, who built a really nice training company called the Brooks Group. And he studied over a 20-year period with another partner of his who was a scientist, 20,000 role plays between clients and salespeople. And so science has a process in place called double-blind experiments. So neither the person being studied or the person participating really understands exactly what's going on. So they did this with salespeople and clients, 20,000 samples. And the results that came out of that study were mind-boggling, because I think we all feel like people are listening to us. We all feel like we're being heard. You know, we have a lot of pride in what we do and how we do it. And the fact was that the study revealed something entirely different. In 10 samples of questions, so they based it on asking questions, the clients only remembered one of the discussion points. So 90% of the time, they didn't even remember what you talked about. Now, the funny fact, but said but true, is that in 39% of the time, the client remembered things that were never discovered or discussed at all, which tells you something. It tells you that they weren't paying attention. Now, the goal of learning behaviors as it applies to sales is to improve client receptivity. And what happens is if a client doesn't receive you in the way that they want to receive you, according to their behavior style, according to their decision process and their communication requirements, they shield you out. So they might be there in presence, but they're really not there mentally. Now, if a client doesn't retain what you say, do you think they're going to follow your recommendations? Now, that's one of the reasons why when you try to call them back and you try to get that second appointment, you're chasing them, because they really didn't get the essence of what you were trying to communicate. So behavior science has a lot to do with that. And it's subconscious. It's not obvious to the person that's talking or the person that's receiving, unless you're trained in it, unless you understand it, which is some of the things that we try to help advisors do, is to understand their clients at a much deeper level. Now, to simplify that, there's a model. It's a model that's been in existence for many years. It's called DISC. And DISC is often used. It's another term for it might be in a different context, Myers-Briggs, but it's really a science of understanding people, what makes people tick, what makes them unique, what makes them get motivated. So in sales, you obviously want to get on the same wavelength as your potential client and prospect. For example, to put it in context, take a hard-charging, motivated, outgoing, expressive advisor, and he goes to meet a CPA. The CPA, unless that advisor modifies his style, completely slows down the pace, turns that conversation into a more detailed, fact-oriented process, the CPA is going to reject that information. And then the salesperson's not going to get, the connection that says, okay, I like working with this person. I feel comfortable with this person. And that's a critical piece, because in today's environment, there's more and more people getting involved in the decision process, especially as you raise the bar, and the bigger the cases, the bigger the deals, there's more people involved. Now, where I got trained was very beneficial, and it applies now to the financial services industry. And it's the same model that goes on with a CPA and a small business owner in today's world. You may establish a rapport with them, the small business owner, because you match up with him. He's a hard charger, he's an entrepreneur, he's a go-getter. But then, before he makes his decisions, who's he go check with? The CPA, the lawyer. He starts to ask around, because he wants to make sure he has the support of those key people in his decision nucleus. So we used to look at a strategy and say we have to identify, first of all the people in the decision nucleus. We have to understand who they are, what they do, how they communicate, how they want to be treated, and we had to go talk to each and every one of them, make sure we were on their wavelength, and adapt to their approach and what their needs were, and as an outcome, get their buy-in, so the person that we really felt comfortable with would say, let's go do it.